It's going down on Saturday. The Big Ten championship game between Penn State and Oregon. It'll air on CBS at 8 Eastern from Indianapolis. The third-ranked Nittany Lions looking to hit 12 wins in a season for the fourth time in program history. They won it back in 2016. On the other side, though, you have the only undefeated team left in the country. That's Oregon, who can become the sixth team to defeat Ohio State, Michigan, and Penn State in the same season. So with that, this is what the tail of the tape is looking like as we get set for Saturday, 8 Eastern. The first meeting between these two since the Rose Bowl of the 1994 season. Penn State won that game 38-20. Penn State also is 1-0 in Big Ten championship games. Like they mentioned, won it back in 2016. To help set the scene even more for this game, we bring in the man who will be on the call on Saturday, Gary Danielson. Gary, thank you so much for joining us here on HQ. When you talk about Oregon, you're talking about the only team that is still undefeated in all of college football. You had the chance to see them up close and doing their game. When you saw them, did they look like the best team in the country to you?
Well, I think you have to say they look at, if you're going to talk about the group that is good enough to win a championship, they've got to be included. If you say there's 4 teams, Oregon's in the 4. If you say there's 2 teams, Oregon is one of the 2. They really don't have a weakness on their football team. Their coaching is high level. Dan Lanning motivates his football team. They don't have a weakness, and they have all the skills that modern football demands. A veteran at quarterback, speed at the edge, the ability to rush the passer, veterans in the defensive backfield. Yeah, they really have the full team that can win a national championship.
Yeah, led by Dillon, Gabriel on offense, who is 23 years old. Feel like he's been playing college football for such a long time, so much experience under his belt. When you see him, you see the way he plays. What makes him difficult to defend and to be able to stop?
I think what you mentioned first, let's start there. I mean, the guy has played 6 years of college football, much like Bo Nix a year ago. He's seen it all, but he was even good when he was a true freshman. I mean, this has been an elite football player for a long time. He was well coached in high school. He grew up throwing the football in spread formations. He understands it. He's very skilled at running the ball. He's clutch. We saw that on the road in Wisconsin, where right after Wisconsin at the end of the third quarter does their jump around and they're in the game and everything's going crazy. And 4th and 9, Dillon shoots in a pass to keep the game alive and keep that undefeated season alive. So he's seen it all. He's done it all. He's highly skilled. But I think number one is he's just so focused now. You know, nothing really bothers him. Jenny Doe, after games, have talked to him about the Heisman, talked to him about his exploits, and he continues to say, it's all about putting W's on the board. And that type of leadership just runs throughout this football team.
Yeah, a guy who certainly is taking the most advantage of the opportunity to still play college ball to further his career, hopefully later on into the NFL. We switch over and talk about Penn State right now, and I feel like it's a popular thing online that fans, certainly of the Nittany Lions, love to maybe hate on James Franklin and not love on him as much as he might deserve. In your mind, when you look at what Franklin has done this year as a coach, is this his best year in Happy Valley?
Well, I don't know if he's had a better one. Now, it's a little bit different because of the, no divisions anymore. And listen, any team that has to go through Ohio State and Michigan every year, that's not easy football. They've come close, but that they have not been able to win those games. That's the way life is. We've all experienced that have played Big Ten athletics. You're great when you win, but when you lose that close one, people want to know why you can't take that next step. But this is a well-built football team. And I think, for James, he's done the best year of believing, I think, in his football team. I mean, he just seems to be calling this game and games with a lot of confidence. I look back to the game I did at USC when I thought it was a really big gamble to go his first 4th down with like 4.5 minutes to go. It just feels like he's shooting that confidence into his football team, and they're accepting it and taking it. But it's not just confidence. It's not just his leadership. It's the way this team has been put together. He's hired 2 new great coordinators, Tom and Allen on defense and Andy Kololicki on offense. They're put together well. And, of course, Penn State has always had great athletes top to bottom. So I really think this is a really good matchup. And above that, I think it's a really good matchup for the Big Ten. You know, if you go around the country and talk about Big Ten football, it's been, yeah, they're good, but they're top heavy. It's just Michigan, Ohio State, or who can play Michigan, or who can beat Ohio State. I think this is great for the Big Ten to show that there's more depth in this conference and two more teams playing for the championship.
So ultimately, when we look towards Saturday and you see these two teams, what do you think will be the deciding factor for the game?
Well, you're right. It could be anything, and that's the great part of this game. You know, all coaches go, you know, there's nothing little. There's no little things in a football game. Anything could burst loose and be the game. But to me, I think whichever team handles the pass rush from the other team, I mean, both have elite front fours. They're both very deep at rushing the passer. And, you know, people always talk about how you affect the passer in the pocket, that pressures are really important. Yes, pressures are important, but a sack is one of the game-defining things. After a sack in a drive, it's less than 10% on that drive that you will score a touchdown. So there's a big difference. Both teams are capable of ending a drive with sacks. So I think which offensive line, both tackles and inside, is able to keep their quarterback the cleanest will be the story of the football game.
Yeah, certainly looking forward to crowning a champion on Big Ten land, the game that will, of course, air on CBS. Gary Danielson, we know you'll be there on the call. Looking forward to it and appreciate you for your time, and good luck out there enjoying the elements inside, thankfully, of Lucas Oil Stadium. That game, 8 Eastern p.m. on CBS, also streaming on Paramount Plus. Time to crown a Big Ten champ. Will it be Penn State or Oregon? We'll find out soon.